In 1960, America and Japan had the same obesity rate. Today, America, 42% obese. Japan, 4%. What the hell happened? And before you say genetics, let me stop you right there. Because in 1960, both countries were around 3% obese. This isn't about DNA. This is about what happened after. Here's the thing. America's obesity rate is almost 10 times Japan's obesity rate of just 4.5%. Think about that. The average American would be considered fat in Japan. You could be medium-level fat in America, but step off the plane in Tokyo, you're completely fat there. Two countries, both recovered from World War II. Both became economic powerhouses, but one got fat and one didn't. Let's rewind the clock. Before we dive in, let me bust some myths. Maybe it's green tea, right? Or lower smoking rates in Japan? Actually, no. Smoking rates are higher in Japan. 25% of Japanese men smoke, but only 13% of Americans do. So it's not that. Maybe more people go to the gym in Japan. Nope. Only 3.3% of people have a gym membership there, while 21% of Americans do. Maybe it's because everyone eats fermented soybeans for breakfast. Actually, it's way simpler than that. The whole food environment is just different in certain key ways. In Japan, you actually cannot make excuses to gain weight. In the States, you're surrounded by traps everywhere you turn. 1977, the year everything changed for America. The US government released new dietary guidelines. Their advice? Eat less fat, load up on carbs. This wasn't based on science. It was based on one man's flawed research, Ansel Keys, and a lot of lobbying money from the grain industry. Meanwhile, Japan looked at America's food pyramid and said, nah, we're good. They kept eating what they'd been eating for centuries: fish, rice, vegetables, fermented foods. So what did Americans do? They replaced butter with margarine, whole milk with skim, real food with low-fat processed garbage pumped full of sugar to make it taste like anything. By the 1980s, the average American was eating 40% more sugar than in 1950, not because they wanted to, because it was hidden in everything labeled healthy. Let's talk about sugar for a second. According to 2021 statistics, Americans consume about 33.7 kilograms of sugar per year, while Japanese people consume about 17.7 kilograms. That's almost half. And here's the crazy part. People crave sugar because they're used to eating sugar. A 2016 study found that after just 2 months on a low-sugar diet, people started rating sweet foods as 40% sweeter than before. Your taste buds literally reset. When you first move to Japan, sweets don't taste sweet enough. After living there for years, American food tastes overwhelmingly sweet. Yogurt in the US tastes like dessert. Everything's cranked up to 11. Japan, they never abandoned their traditional diet. Portion control, seasonal ingredients, eating until 80% full, a concept called harahachibu. Try fitting that on a Cheesecake Factory menu. Now let's say you wake up, get ready for the day, and you're off to grab breakfast. What are your options? Per person, there are 15 times as many fast food establishments in America compared to Japan. 15 times. The average American breakfast options might look like hotcakes and sausage, an Egg McMuffin, a breakfast burrito, breakfast at Denny's with a Super Slam, or a McGriddle. Sweet, comforting, familiar foods that are absolutely loaded with calories. There are plenty of McDonald's locations in Japan, but Japan also has over 4,000 rice bowl establishments. At places like Yoshinoya for about $4, you can get a traditional Japanese breakfast, a small bowl of rice, fermented soybeans, roasted fish, and miso soup. But let's say you don't have much time and want something quick. In America, you hit a gas station or 7-Eleven. What do you get? Chips, candy, processed food, maybe some sad fried chicken sitting under a heat lamp. You might find nuts or a protein bar if you're lucky. In Japan, convenience stores are completely different. Japan has over 55,000 convenience stores, almost 10 times as many per square kilometer as the US, and the food quality is shockingly good. For about $9, you can get fish simmered in miso, ramen-style eggs, a rice ball, roasted chicken, a salad, and green tea. They have roasted fish, fruits, salads, and even low-calorie options like tofu noodles. The pre-prepared foods are actually decent. Fish with mushrooms and radish, chicken gizzards with green onion, shrimp and squid with broccoli, boiled eggs, and steamed chicken with pickled vegetables. The bento meals are a bit more junky, but still way better than American options.
The first key difference is this: convenience doesn't always mean junk in Japan. That's because the overall food quality standard is just higher across the board. And get this, Japanese people are extremely busy and actually sleep less than Americans, which is unhealthy, yet they're still much thinner. How? 1970s and 80s, fast food exploded in America. McDonald's went from 1,000 locations to over 6,000 in a decade. Convenience became king. Cooking became Optional. Japan got McDonald's too, but here's the thing, they didn't supersize it. A medium Coke in Japan is 16 ounces. In America, 21 ounces, and that's before free refills. Actually, let's talk about drink sizes. A Japanese large drink is smaller than an American small. An American large is nearly twice the size of a Japanese large. Even milk cartons are smaller in Japan. Some drinks are literally marketed as a size you can finish, because in Japan, wasting food is considered shameful. And portion sizes? A small soda in 1955 was 7 ounces. Today's American small is 16 ounces. That's not a drink, that's a commitment. Japanese people don't drink much soda, period. The average Japanese person drinks about 30 liters per year, while Americans drink about 154 liters. That's 5 times as much. Japan has the most vending machines per person on the planet, around 4 million, or 1 for every 30 people. But what's in them? Water, unsweetened tea, black coffee, and half-size drinks, not 64-ounce big gulps. In America, we eat in cars, at desks, in front of TVs. In Japan, meals are social events. You sit, you focus, you actually taste your food. Wild concept, I know. Let me tell you about lunch. In Japan, you can grab fried junk or McDonald's if you want, but it's just as easy to walk into Matsuya and get rice with stewed beef, a half-boiled egg, kimchi, and miso soup with pickled ginger. Same price, same convenience, totally different nutrition. Transportation matters too. The average Japanese person walks 6,000, 7,000 steps per day, just getting around. Americans? We drive to the mailbox. American cities were designed for cars. Japanese cities were designed for humans. One burns calories, the other burns gasoline. By 1990, 60% of the American diet was ultra-processed food. Japan, around 15%. They still shop the perimeter of grocery stores where the real food lives. Then there's seed oils. In 1970, Americans consumed almost zero soybean oil. By 2000, it was in everything. Japan stuck with sesame oil, fish oil, and rice bran oil. Seed oils are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. The ideal ratio? 1:1 with omega-3s. America's ratio today? 20:1. That's not a diet, that's inflammation in a bottle. And here's the kicker, seed oils become even more unstable and unhealthy when you heat them, especially when frying. The fats break down and oxidize. Saturated fats like beef tallow, way more heat stable. Japanese people consume about half as much seed oil as Americans. Half. 1980s, high fructose corn syrup became cheaper than sugar, so food companies swapped it into everything. Your body processes it differently than regular sugar, and not in a good way. Japan regulates high fructose corn syrup heavily. It's expensive there, so companies don't use it. Another win for Japan, another L for America. American bread ingredients, 20+ items including bleaching agents and preservatives. Japanese bread, flour, water, yeast, salt. You know, bread ingredients. Here's where it gets spicy. Japan has mandatory waist measurements for adults aged 40 to 75. Yeah, the government checks if you're too fat. It's called the Metabo Law. If your waist is over 33.5 inches as a man or 35.5 inches as a woman, your employer gets fined. Imagine HR calling you in for being too thick. America went the opposite direction. We decided obesity is a personal choice and shaming is the real problem, which sounds nice until you look at the heart disease statistics. Let's talk about school lunch. In the US, school food is often processed garbage. Pizza counts as a vegetable because of tomato sauce. Kids get chocolate milk, tater tots, sloppy joes, everything bad for you. In 1970, the law changed so schools could turn to private for-profit companies to feed students. Quality went down, budgets got cut, food became an afterthought. In Japan, school lunches are planned by nutritionists and cooked from scratch daily, every single day. Meals include vegetables, rice, fish or meat, and pickle foods.
Japanese kids don't just eat this food, they serve it to each other and clean up together. It's nutrition education that actually works. By the time kids are teenagers in Japan, obesity is rare. It creates lifelong eating habits. You get a nutrition education that isn't taught in a classroom. It's lived every day. And wasting food? Absolutely discouraged. In Japanese elementary and middle schools, if you can't finish your meal, you don't get to leave for recess. You sit there until you finish. Sounds harsh, but the idea is you cannot waste food because that's the life of plants and animals. Leaving food on your plate is considered bad manners, especially rice. Restaurants don't give you to-go containers. You're expected to finish your meal right there. So restaurants serve portions most people can actually finish in one sitting. Snack packaging is intentionally small, sized so you can comfortably finish without feeling stuffed. Look at how tiny packages of chocolates are in Japan compared to America. It's portion control built into the product itself. If you eat a standard American diet, you gain weight. In Japan, if you just eat what everyone else eats, you get thinner. It's that simple. The fifth factor is variety. Healthy eating is easier when you have plenty of options and you're not getting bored eating the same handful of healthy meals over and over. Even at bars and izakayas, Japanese pubs, there are about 7,500 of them across Japan. That's more than the total number of McDonald's and Burger Kings combined. And what do they serve? Grilled fish, edamame, salads, tofu dishes, yakitori. You can go out drinking and still have access to legitimately healthy food. Try doing that in an American sports bar, where the menu is fried chicken, loaded fries, and wings. This isn't about perfect health. It's about being reasonably healthy with very little effort. Here's where it gets economic. Why doesn't America fix this? Because Big Food spends $50 million per year lobbying Congress. When Coca-Cola funds your nutrition research, guess what gets blamed? Not sugar. Never sugar. And here's the dark truth. Obesity is profitable. $173 billion per year in obesity-related healthcare costs, plus weight loss programs, diet pills, bariatric surgery. There's no money in healthy people. Japan's healthcare system focuses on prevention. They catch problems before they become expensive. America's system focuses on treatment. We wait until you're sick, then we profit. Help. 23.5 million Americans live in food deserts, areas with no access to fresh food. In Japan, fresh food markets are everywhere. You can't walk 5 minutes without hitting one. In America, McDonald's is cheap. Organic vegetables? Expensive. In Japan, fresh vegetables cost less than processed junk. Their government subsidizes healthy food. We subsidize corn syrup. 1970, 5% of American kids were obese. Today, nearly 20%. Japan's rate? Still around 3%. Kids don't choose this. We're setting them up to fail. Type 2 diabetes used to be called adult-onset diabetes because kids didn't get it. Now, kids as young as 10 are getting diagnosed. Japan? Still extremely rare in children. When everyone around you is overweight, it becomes the new normal. 70% of American adults are overweight or obese. In Japan, it's 27%. One country sees it as a crisis. The other sees it as Tuesday. Here's the good news. This isn't genetic. Americans living in Japan lose weight eating Japanese diets. Japanese people moving to America gain weight eating American diets. It's the environment. What would it take to fix this? Remove high fructose corn syrup, regulate seed oils, ban junk food marketing to kids, redesign cities for walking. But that would hurt profits, so good luck. But here's what you can control. Cook real food. Walk more. Read ingredient labels. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. The Japanese model works because it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Smaller portions, more movement, real food, social connection, prevention over pills. Japan, 84-year life expectancy, 4% obesity, lowest diabetes rate in the developed world. America, 76-year life expectancy, 42% obesity, 11% diabetic. These numbers don't lie. Remember, in 1960, we were the same. 2 countries, 2 completely different choices. One prioritized health, one prioritized profit. The results speak for themselves. So what are you going to do? Keep playing the game that's rigged against you, or take back control? The choice is yours, but make it fast, because your body won't wait forever. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button. Drop a comment. Are you Team America or Team Japan? And subscribe for more uncomfortable truths about your health. See you next time.